Hi there, this is Prakash. Hope you're doing good. Welcome to the new video. Today's video is about relationship lines. Well, you may normally call this as marriage lines, or people refer to as generally as marriage lines, but this is not marriage lines. If that was true, then there are many married people who are not having marriage lines, not having these lines, or there are many unmarried people who have so many lines and still not married, and there are many people who have, let's say, double lines, triple lines, or more lines, but still they are happily married, or at least married with just one marriage. So it doesn't tell you anything about marriage, right? So it's something else. It's all about internal psychology. It's emotional. So it's all about internal psychological building or emotional building. So it is about emotional anchoring or pair bonding. So we'll explore why some people have these lines, why they appear in first place, why some have single line, some have multiple lines. So yeah, let's discuss about that. We are discussing relationship lines, or what people normally call as marriage lines. So where are these lines? Well, these lines appear here below little finger. There is Mount of Mercury, and on the percussion side or lateral side or on the edge side, you'll see some lines. So they are nothing but relationship lines, which people call it as marriage lines, but as we understand, they are not marriage. Marriage is something external, institutional. Okay, it's a external event, and it doesn't get recorded in this hand. Okay, that it is something else. What it tells about emotional anchors. These relationship lines talk about emotional anchors, deep emotional anchors. When you involve yourself emotionally and psychologically with someone, then these lines appear, and that's what the meaning of these lines. So these lines indicate psychological attachment, emotional bonding, long-term partnerships, romantic partnerships. Yes, so this is what is all about these relationship lines, or which you normally call marriage lines. What these lines do not indicate: first of all, they do not indicate marriage, number of marriage. So just dispel this thing out of your head. They are definitely not about marriage or number of marriage. So when people see multiple lines, they just joke around it, saying, oh, you'll have 2, 3 or 5 marriages. But that is all myth, that is all misconception, misbelief, disbelief. Yes, so they are not about marriage. And what these relationship lines are, what kind of relationships they indicate, first of all we have to understand. So they indicate romantic relationship, partner based relationships, spousal relationships like husband wife, and serious long term relationship like romantic relationships like Romeo and Juliet types. Yes, or simple, when two people are in love with each other, they care about them, they deeply, okay, love each other, they are deeply involved with one another. So that's what these lines indicates. And what kind of relationships are excluded from this relationship lines? Well, they are children's, basically your children, so they generally do not form these lines. Family relations like parents, mother or father, siblings like brothers, sisters, and any other cousins, etc., whatever, they do not generally indicate these lines. Okay, they are not shown or indicated by these marriage lines, which is relationship line actually. So first thing clear? Yeah. Now we have to understand what is the meaning of one line, multiple lines, or deep line, small line. We have to understand one thing: what is emotional anchoring? This is very important. So we were talking about emotional anchoring. So when a person becomes an emotional anchor to you, so he becomes or she becomes the source of emotional stability or reassurance. Okay, the way a ship is anchored to a seabed when it is docked at a port. Okay, so similarly, a person becomes emotionally stable, calm, relaxed in company of, or by the nice words, encouraging words of the other person. Now this can happen with, let's say, spouse. Let's say a person may say, after a stressful day of work, okay, when I talked to my spouse, husband or wife, I felt relaxed. Or a friend might say, whenever there's big decision I have to make, I always talk to my friend XYZ. So, and similarly we have examples like in mentorship. Let's say a student feel encouraged when they get to hear good words from their teachers. So in all these cases, for the first person, these other people, be it spouse, friend, or teacher, guide, mentors, they are like the emotional anchors, emotional anchoring figures. Okay, they make the first person stable, calm, relaxed. Now there is a deep emotional anchoring, the next layer. Now in this, what happens? The person not only feels sense of security, safety, okay, emotional stability, but also identity is also attached. So again we can see the identity part. So now the other person becomes the identity of the first person. So these two persons are non-different from each other. And it happens mostly in which relationships? It happens mostly in partnerships, like romantic partnerships, or relations. It can be in marriage as well, like marital relations. So significant partnerships, even in parents also it happens, parent child. Yeah, so these partnerships happen. So what happens in these cases? You'll always hear these things: oh, I cannot live without you. Okay, or if you're not there, I feel lost, I feel gone, something like that. Or when something happens to that person, when the other person, who is now a deep emotional anchor to the first person, let's say, so even if that person feels hurt or he gets hurt slightly, the first person gets very fearful, he feels terrible. He did not get hurt, the other person got hurt, but he's or they are feeling the impact. This is deep emotional anchoring. Yeah, so it happens. So when it happens, it means there is a long deep relationship. Okay, there is a close deep psychological bonding, relationship, attachment. Yeah, so that kind of things are present in deep emotional anchoring. So now we are into our main segment, like discussing the relationship lines, different types of relationship lines. That is one main line, no lines, one main line, and some secondary or minor lines, faint lines, and then all of them are faint. All small lines, no major lines. So first case we'll discuss, when there is no line, this part is empty. What happens? First of all, it does not mean person will not get married or will not have relationships or kids or anything. No, it doesn't mean like that, because as we have understood in our previous talk, earlier talk, that relationship lines do not mean marriage. Okay, they do not mean number of marriages. So definitely then their presence or absence doesn't matter in marriage. Marriage is separate thing, it's external, it's institutional, it's societal. Yeah, it's external forces which are making you to come into this institution of marriage. This is not internal. These lines talk about internal, your internal emotional state, your internal psychological state. Okay, so when there's no lines, so it simply means the person doesn't have the emotional or romantic bonding, hasn't reached to his center of psychology. It means the relationships or bonding, he's not deeply involved in that. He doesn't form emotional anchors with relationships. As simple as that. We talked about emotional anchors, right? Deep emotional anchors. So these persons, okay, don't have emotional anchors, or at least deep emotional anchors. They are not affected by it, so they are normal. Okay, because their focus, their psychological focus and mental focus is more on work, profession, intellectual pursuits, responsibilities, family, rather than romantic relationships. So that's how they are wired. So for a man, he may marry, he may have kids, he may have relationship, but it won't be his core. It won't be his core thing. It won't be his whole life. For them, marriage or relationships are just part of life. They are just small part of big life. It's not whole life for them. As simple as that. Yes, they are just small part which they play as a role, as a duty, because they focus on other things more importantly. For a man, he may have relationships, kids, wife, etc., everything, but he'll be focused more on work, responsibilities, intellectual pursuits, some other pursuits, uh, family. And for housewife, well, she'll take care of her children, family members, taking care of household, performing daily chores. Yeah, but there won't be any relationship which will be very significant for her emotionally, psychologically. She won't have deep emotional anchors. Okay, she hasn't bound herself to anyone as deeper emotional level, a psychological level. That is the meaning. Yeah. So this was about no relationship lines. Second part, just one relationship line, single relationship line, and which is deep, by the way, not not a small, fragile, or light. So what does this mean? This is very interesting. So it means they form one relationship. They have capacity of one relationship, with which they form deep emotional bond anchors. Okay, so they are wired. It's like for them, one life, one relationship, that's it. Yeah, so they value relationship as a loyal, faithful, a long term thing, commitment thing. They value more on this thing. That's why they psychologically and mentally they can bind themselves, or they can attach themselves to just one person. Now even if that person is not there in this world, let's say after a long time, but still psychologically, that person is present in their mind, in their head or heart, whichever you want to call. Okay, so they're emotionally fulfilled. They don't need any other person. And you have seen this thing in many movies as well, because you'll get this dialogue, okay, I can live with his memories or her memories. I don't want to get married again, or I don't want any other person. So that is the typical case of this single relationship line. They are happy, they are fine, they are satisfied. Yeah, just one relationship, mentally, psychologically. They don't need any other, because there is no psychological void, because it all starts with the psyche, it all starts with the mind. So their mind is occupied, their mind is full. So there's no space for any other person. As simple as that. So for a man, he'll be committed to just one relationship, one wife, let's say. Yeah, that relationship means the wife. Okay, not these two are not separate things. Okay, he'll value it, he'll care for it, he'll be committed throughout the life. Even if that wife leaves, or let's say that wife goes, passes away, let's say before him, still he will care for her. He'll remember her, and maybe he won't get married. He may get married, but that is just for the sake of kids, but he won't be involved emotionally. It will be just mechanical thing for him. Similarly for housewife, let's say she'll be deeply and emotionally attached to just one person, which is her husband. She'll be taking care for her. She'll be faithful, loyal, committed, long term for this one person, and they cannot think of any other person outside this. So that's about single relationship line. Now there's a third part. Now we have one major relationship line, that is deep line, and then you'll have small faint lines. What does this mean? Well, this means person may interact with many people. They are emotionally curious, or they are romantically curious, but they just interact. They have friendship, let's say, and even crushes, let's say, but they ultimately stick to one person. They again here also in this case, they stick to one person. They form deep relationship, emotional anchors with that one person, and then they are committed to it. It's like for the one just single one line, they were just looking for one person and they just got stick to it, no other thoughts. In this case, this person is exploring, he's exploring the world or she's exploring. Okay, and then when they find someone who they think they're destined person person for life, then they stick to it. Okay, so this is what happens with one relationship line and multiple small lines. So these other small lines are, you can think of it as simple crushes or emotional, let's say emotional romanticizing. Emotionally, okay, mentally you're romanticizing about the person, you're thinking about it. And yeah, I will clear one again misconception. See, you may have one major line, okay, that is for marriage. In India context, that is marriage. And then there are small lighter lines. Does this mean, you may think this, or you may suspect, oh, he's having two three small lines, he must have had relationships with some person. Let's say for a boy or man, you will think he may have some girlfriends. No, it's not exactly like that. As I said, it is internal, it is psychological. So what happens, he must have seen some girl, let's say from a distance. Okay, and he started developing feelings, he started romanticizing about that girl, mentally, emotionally. He has nothing to do with that girl, he's not even going out with that girl. Okay, it was just in the mind, it was purely in the mind, it was mind's play. So but again, that gets registered in this hand because it was emotional, it was psychological, it was internal thing. Those get recorded, registered in this hand. So that's why, so do not suspect if people have small lines, because it may be simply they just thought about someone, they didn't have this courage, they didn't have this because of norms or because of society, because of environment constraints, they couldn't gather the courage to go and talk to that person, let's say. And it is true for boy and girl, both ways. So this is again true. Yeah, mentally they have just romanticized that person, that's it, fantasize that person mentally and nothing else. And then we have fourth category, which is having small lines, multiple small lines are there, there's no major line, there's no deep dark line. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, it means person is evaluating, person is going here and there, he's, let's say he's very talkative, he may be very social, he goes out parties, or let's say he interacts with many people or she interacts with many people. Okay, they form relationships, a very small relationship, it is more of a friendship, you can say, but they don't attach themselves to that person deeply, they are not able to form that deep bond or connection, they are not able to form that one relationship which is a deep emotional anchor for them. So it's like they are, for them everyone is temporary, and that's how they live, so it's normal. So they, again, they can live normally. So there could be a man, he may be having married life, but he's not deeply involved or having that deep emotional anchor with anyone, even with his wife. That may be the case. Obviously he will be dutiful, faithful, that is not an issue, but he's not deeply involved the way women expect. Okay, that you should always think about me, I should be in your mind. So that doesn't happen in this case. Okay, similarly for women, okay, she may be married and housewife, let's say. So she will take care of everything, she'll run the house normally and etc. Okay, she may interact with people, she may have interacted with people in the past before marriage. Okay, so now she's just passive in that way. There's no deep emotional bond or relationship with anyone, including the spouse. So it will be normal, like duty they are just performing. They are just fulfilling the marital obligations. Yeah, that's it. And there's nothing, there's no person who they feel very deeply connected or psychologically invested in. That is not the case in this case. So yeah, so this was about different types of relationship lines. Okay, and in the next segment we'll talk about different impacts of relationship lines, how they affect, what they do mean. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Continuing the discussion, so different impacts on relationship lines. So first one is split relationship line, or when it gets forked. What does it mean? Again, there's a misconception among people that it means divorce. No, not necessarily. As we talked about, relationship lines are not marriage, not directly, and so certainly they do not mean dissolution of marriage or divorce. Okay, since we talked about it is something emotional, psychological, something deep, internal, within. So it means there is some diversion of energy. There is a diversion of emotional energy. So maybe person is shifting priorities. Maybe the life direction is changing. So let's say the person was very faithful to the individual, let's say to the spouse, and after some time, let's say kids happen to happen. Okay, and then there are some other responsibilities, so they are now forced, or they are expected to invest their energy in let's say in children. Okay, and some serious investment in children emotionally, nourish them, and some other, or maybe some other family member. Okay, so their energy gets divided. Now the life path changes, so that is the division of energy. Maybe there is a emotional distancing between the partners. That may be true, but it doesn't mean there is a acrimony or ill will or hatred. It doesn't mean that. It just they are drifted away by the force of time or life, but that relationship will be there. They will be together, united, faithful. So that is there. Now, when there is a upward branch, upward sloping, okay, upward branch on the relationship line, what does it mean? It means person feels respected, person gets the inspiration, person feels happy, valued in the relationship. Okay, he gets the inspiration, he gets respected. Yeah, so that is the meaning of upward line on that relationship. Okay, next thing is downward sloping line on the relationship line. Yeah, there's a different small lines which are downward sloping on the main relationship line. What does it mean? Well, it means person doesn't get very doesn't get much support, let's say, or encouragement, or respect, let's say. He may the relationship will be there, yes, it will be strong, faithful, okay, loyal, committed, they'll be there, it is there, but somehow they don't feel this support, encouragement, okay, respect. So that is the meaning of downward sloping line. Now when the relationship line itself moves upward, let's say the line slopes upward, so what does it mean? Just like an exponential graph. So it means now the relationship deepens with time. The partner, both of them, both the partners are integrating their life goals, their activities with this partnership, with this relationship. So their relationship goes stronger. It is very harmonious. It gets deepened. Okay, it is attached, it is connected with life goals. Let's say they want to do something. Let's say a person is doing a job or work, let's say, but he wants to start something, some small business. Let's say he involves his partner, and somehow the business is also going well, so the partner is also involved. Okay, so partner is becoming the beneficial for this person. Okay, and even their bond gets increased, strengthened, okay, deepened. So that is the meaning of this, the relationship line going upward. Now when the relationship line goes down like this, projectile motion, so what happens? Well, in this case, there is a withdrawal. Okay, the relationship which started well, okay, but it doesn't feel like there's something left, or it doesn't feel there's no connection. There's no, as they say, there's no spark. There's no spark in the relationship. They feel something is missing or empty, or that bond, that energy which was there, it is it has gone down. Okay, they may feel emotionally withdrawn, let's say. Okay, not fulfilled. Yeah, it will be the life would be kind of dry. Yeah, they may have to work on that. So that is the meaning of downward slope. Now the another variation is when there's a crisscross on the relationship line. Well, it means there's some conflict, there's some mental emotional conflict. There are different things which are colliding, different thoughts. Okay, they are colliding with each other. So that is the meaning of crosses. There's an emotional entanglement, crosses. Okay, confusion. So that is the meaning of crosses. And when there is, let's say, a break, okay, a gap in the relationship line, well, it means there is a sudden, let's say, distance. There is a sudden tension or stress in the relationship, but it will get over. Okay, it will recover from that. The relationship will recover that period of stress. It is transient. It's not a long lasting or impacting. Okay, so these were different signs and meanings on that relationship line. So this was all about relationship lines. Okay, so we are finally coming to end of our discussion. So we understood that a relationship line is, first of all, not a marriage line. It doesn't mean marriage. It does not mean the multiple marriages. Yes, that is a hoax. Okay, that is a legend. Okay, rural legend or ancient legend. And it just indicates deep emotional anchors, emotional bonding, relationship. Yeah, also if the relationship line is short, faint, it may just mean crushes. Yeah, or person just romanticized about the other mentally. Okay, emotionally they were not together, they did not go out on date. And one more thing, relationship lines do not include, let's say some person is having very superficial, temporary, okay, a relationship. That doesn't make a relationship line. Even if it is small, that won't appear. And let's say if person is having some fling, some hookups, they are not part of relationship line, they are not reflected because there's no emotion involved. Whenever there's no emotion involved, they are not the relations which are there in the palm, they won't appear here. Okay, whenever there's emotion involved, then they will appear here, otherwise they won't appear in this palm, on this percussion side of mercury mount. Yeah, so rest assured, and we understood everything about relationships, what kind of different relationships are there, different relationship lines. And yeah, that's it. And one more thing about marriages. Yeah, so I was saying these lines do not generally indicate marriage, but there is a workaround. Okay, we indirectly assume approximate marriage. How? Let's understand this. See, this is in the context of India. So what happens in India? It's a patriarchal society. There's a tradition. It's a traditional society. It's a conservative society. So marriages are indispensable part of this society. Okay, they are unavoidable. So anyway, you will get married whether you want it or not. Yeah, so you are there. That's why one more reason why they are not indicated marriage, okay, by relationship lines. So you will get married. There's nothing special is required to get married. You will get married. Yeah, yeah, because you are destined for that, in India at least, and some other countries where there is a traditional and society. Then what happens? Let's say, as I said, so you will get married, right? And now let's say whichever major line, whichever deep relationship line person has, we assume it to be a marriage line, because so whatever you have to make long-term relationship, or get involved emotionally, psychologically, deeply, that will be your life partner. Okay, so now show, okay, this must be marriage. This is in India context, but this completely changes in some other countries. Okay, because in countries where marriage is not a compulsion, then definitely it's not marriage. So that's simple, as simple as that. So this was all about relationship lines. So hope you got some clarity, some idea, some information. which I assume would be helpful for you. So that's it guys for today. See you in some other interesting video. Till then, take care of yourself. Thanks for watching my video, and see you. Bye.